Today you'll begin planning for your final project for Unit 2, Gender and Stereotypes. Remember that your final project has to show your understanding of what gender stereotypes are and why they are problematic. The final project will have 3 parts. The first is a letter. The second is an artifact. An artifact is a fancy way of saying an object or thing that you create. And the final is a presentation. This is an example of the letter that I wrote. You will be actually examining this as a class later this week or next week. You don't have to read it now. So the purpose of the letter is to actually persuade an audience that gender stereotypes are problematic using anecdotes from your life, text evidence, and data. This will be a 5-paragraph essay with an intro, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. But you'll have a lot more flexibility than the essay you wrote for Miss Fisk. You're going to be able to choose from many different sources and really make this letter your own. You'll have to use rhetorical appeals as well. I'll be giving essay expectations and a rubric later this week. Don't worry about that for now. The second part, the artifact, is a really important part of the project as well. For my artifact, and I'll be explaining this more in a moment, I chose to do something with Google Chrome. The purpose of this is to prevent or alleviate a problem by changing a policy, a piece of media, or influencing the audience's perspective. Basically, you're trying to solve a problem. You're trying to get that gender stereotype and the problem it causes to vanish. And the final part of the project is a presentation. So the presentation will involve you standing up in front of all of your peers and sharing out your artifact and a piece of your letter, not the whole thing. The purpose of this is to improve your ability to persuade others through thoughtful use of logos, ethos, and pathos in a speech. You'll also be practicing your presentation skills, which are really challenging, but once again, we can only get better if we have a growth mindset and actually practice. So now I'll actually be walking you through the process of selecting a problem, an audience, and an artifact for your project. So in order to complete the 3 parts of the project, we'll have to identify and select these 3 things. Don't worry too much right now about your letter or artifact or presentation. Instead, focus on the second page of your handout. So when selecting a problem, you should take a look at the 4 problems here: body image, violence in men, bullying and hate crimes, and people do not fit into gender roles, and inequality between men and women. You could choose to either write about the workplace or in schools. For me, I actually chose to complete my project on body image, and I'll explain why in just a second. Then I actually selected an audience. I thought about who would be most interesting for me to write to. Who would I want as my audience? So I selected to actually complete the project for my little sister, Olivia. I'm going to explain to you now why I actually chose to write about body image and about my sister. Please read the text here and then answer the questions on the right-hand side when you're done. This is actually an image of my family. So this is me, obviously, my dad, my older sister Alexis, and my younger sister Olivia, who I'll be writing to in my final project. The next step was to select an artifact. And I thought about, well, my problem is body image. My audience is my little sister Olivia. What artifact would actually make sense for her? And I couldn't stop thinking about the Dear Sophie commercial that we watched with the dad who created the Gmail account for his daughter, Sophie. So I'm actually choosing to create a Gmail account and email messages like Dear Sophie. Please read my reason for why I chose this artifact and answer the questions on the right-hand side. Now that you've listened to my process, I would like you to complete the same process for your problem, audience, and artifact. Once you're done, you will get these approved by Ms. Green before moving on.